What's up, everybody? This is Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HAWGsports.com. Well, 2-5, not the season that everybody thought Arkansas was going to have at this point, but finally returning home to Fayetteville. You see that funny little squiggly @ sign before Arkansas's name. Haven't seen that in a long time. First time when I guess they kick off, it'll be like 35 days between home games. So it is what it is. We're going to talk to Danny West, help us get a little more insight on recruiting and maybe some visitors up here for this game. Talk to him a little bit about the game last week also. And, of course, we're going to get Andrew Ellis' take as well. All that and more on today's episode of Hog Sports Live. If you're interested in knowing how to watch, you're watching this, obviously, but there's plenty of other ways to watch. You can watch on YouTube. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Just take a moment to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notifications bell so you're alerted anytime we upload new videos. Always streaming the show live on Facebook. Follow the page if you haven't done so already. Throw us a like or thumbs up on both those platforms. Be sure to interact with the video, leave your comments and things of that nature. Also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere else you can think of to find your favorite podcast. Take a moment and throw us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. We're almost at 1,000, by the way, on Apple Podcasts. Love to get there before football season starts. Where to start here? What do we want to start with today? Probably do a little housekeeping with basketball. Well, let's start with Landon Jackson, first of all, SEC Defensive Player of the Week. No co-SEC Defensive Player of the Week, just got Defensive Player of the Week, so that's certainly good. He certainly deserves it. 3.5 sacks for 24 yards and losses, 11 tackles, which is pretty substantial for a defensive end. No player in the SEC has had 3.5 sacks this year. In fact, the last Arkansas player to get 3.5 sacks was Trey Flowers. I actually remember it was 2012 against Auburn. That was kind of like his, hey, you don't recruit me, you're going to have to deal with me kind of game. So it's been a while. It's been 11 years, 11 tackles, 11 years since 3.5 sacks. Arkansas basketball is ranked in the preseason AP Top 25 for the third straight year. Last year they were 10th. This year they're 14th. Other SEC schools ranked are number 9 Tennessee, number 15 Texas A&M, 16 Kentucky, and 24 Alabama. Certainly deserving. I mean, the whole team is like, it's not completely restructured. You got Devo and Trevon Brazile back and Mitchell and all those things. But, I mean, it's a respect factor, isn't it, at this point with Arkansas basketball? Like you just continue to be ranked. Good deal. So just rounding out the AP preseason top 25, Kansas is 1, Duke is 2, Purdue 3. Purdue coming to Fayetteville in, 14 days, something like that. They got an exhibition game coming up this week. Here, we'll get to that. Look at the schedule. All right, so Red-White Showcase obviously already happened October 4th, 88-70 for the Red team. UT Tyler on Friday, October 20th, and then Saturday, October 28th. You've got Purdue in a charity exhibition at 3 o'clock. That's on SEC Network Plus. The UT Tyler game, you're going to have to be there if you want to watch it. Of course, we'll have plenty of coverage at HawgSports.com. So let's look at the rest of the top 25. So 3 Purdue coming to Fayetteville. That's exciting. 4 Michigan State. Marquette is 5. UConn is 6. 7 is Houston. 8 is Creighton. 9 is Tennessee, as we mentioned, and 10 is Florida Atlantic. I'm not going to go over the whole list. You can go look at the list. I'm not going to read off 25 names. All right. I'll tell you what I will take some time to do, and that's mention our friends at Ozarks Go. OzarksGo.net/hog. If you're interested in upgrading your internet service, you're not pleased with your current provider, you don't have internet anyway, then look at our friends at Ozarks Go. Northwest Arkansas, think north of the tunnel, into Oklahoma, Missouri, ever expanding. So they're getting a foothold in Rogers now. A great service that I've had for 2.5 years now. Been very pleased with the service at Ozarks Go. I've never had an outage. I've never had to unplug and replug. I don't know if I could give a better endorsement for internet service than I don't have to unplug and replug and get in an argument with my family and people. I can't get online. Why is this not working? That's not... I mean, like, is that not a ringing endorsement? And it's the truth. It's the truth. I've never had to unplug and replug my router. I've never wondered why I can't get this video to play. It just works. It's worked every day. I mean, they gave me a notice like one time that there was going to be an outage, And that's the only time it's ever happened. And they gave me like 10 notices, like, hey, it's going to be midnight. You're not going to be able to get on the internet, for an hour or so. So, I mean, there's not a better endorsement than that. 479-684-4900. You can also reach them online, ozarksgo.net/hawg. That's HAWG. Find out if they're available in your area. If you get Ozarks Electric, you can get Ozarks Go. Great low price. They're not going to jack your rates up the next year. Go check them out. Everybody knows I give them my stamp of approval. Let's see where we want to go next. What's the line on this game? Check Bet Saracen. All right, so Arkansas is -6.5. I like Arkansas in this game. Arkansas has to win. So Arkansas -6.5 on the Bet Saracen app, -275 on the money line. Mississippi State's +230 on the money line, and the over/under is 50.5 points. I don't hate that under. I'm also not very good at gambling, so maybe you shouldn't listen to what I say. In fact, I'm not very good at all. All right. This is a must-win. There's no question about it, people. This is a must-win. BYU is a must-win. I mean, in a lot of ways, looking at the stretch, but now that things have unfolded the way they are, Mississippi State's a must-win for different reasons. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of my thoughts on the situation and all that stuff that Arkansas is in currently. Okay, if you watched my walk and talk on Saturday, it was 14 and a half minutes long, and I went into all that. I mean, most of it was just about the situation that Arkansas is in now. So I'm not going to just repeat myself on all that stuff. You can go check out the walk and talk if you want to get more of that opinion. But, man, I do think it's interesting the schedule that Arkansas has been faced with, and we knew it when it came out. I mean, we knew that this was going to be daunting, and they needed to win the BYU game. They needed to win one of those 4 road games that they had consecutively, and that's what I had to pick them to do. And still, going 4-1 down the stretch these last 5 games, and you coming out with 8 wins. I mean, that's kind of what I thought. Now, I think if they had this defense on last year's team would have been really solid. If they had last year's offense with this team, really solid. I mean, how much do you miss a guy like Luke Jones, who just basically retired? He didn't even take his talents to the NFL or try to make a team or anything. He's just I'm ready to move on past football. And that happens. You see that every once in a while. Even though, he's a redshirt senior last year, he still had another COVID year if he'd wanted to take it. But, man, he would have been a nice addition. Not losing Devon Manuel basically all season to injury. Maybe things fall differently for you. But, they lost. The key word is they lost, right? A loss is a loss in a lot of people's minds. I don't know if that's entirely true. Losing 24-21 to Alabama, I don't think there's a whole lot of shame in that other than, again, like I said, you pile on all those other losses with it. A lot of people called Arkansas's offense, very – and I asked Sam Pittman about it at the press conference today, were you too conservative with the offense? I think they were at points, but also understand some of the things they were trying to do is not get KJ sacked. If you notice, people complaining about the long developing plays also that result in sacks. And Arkansas still gave up sacks, but they, had the quick passing game. They're throwing to the flats a lot. They're throwing quick passes over the middles, comebacks and, throwing curls and just very, very fast, get the ball out kind of stuff. And that's why I think we didn't see a whole lot of throws downfield. Now, you're 2nd down and 1. The whole playbook to me opens up a little bit more. Obviously, you don't want to take a sack in that situation, but maybe you could attempt a deeper throw downfield or take a shot or something. They were conservative, but it put them in position to win. Defense has been playing lights out. 25 out of 28 quarters, they've given you what you should expect out of a Razorback defense. Amazing when you consider all the changes. Another question I asked Sam Pittman about at the press conference today. When you consider all the changes that they made, all the players that left, all the players that they brought in. They've got 9 transfers, not including Landon Jackson and Dwight McLaughlin, 9 transfers in this defense that are playing a major role for them. 3 new coaches on defense. So much change, and to make such a quick turnaround. Plus you got guys like, the whipping boy, Hudson Clark, and Jaden Johnson, a guy that people wrote off last year, including me, who are playing outstanding right now. That just shows you what we were talking about in the preseason if we nailed anything, we didn't nail the offense. I mean, I didn't think the offensive line was going to be like out of this world, but I thought they would be competent, and they just really struggled. But the defense, I mean, has really, I think, performed above what what our expectations were for it. And a lot of it comes down to depth. You look at what they have in the secondary right now. They didn't have Jalen Braxton. They didn't have Dwight McLaughlin. Their two starting, defensive backs. They also lost Keon Stewart during the game. He was banged up. But they didn't have their two starting cornerbacks in this one. And they've had to shift some guys around. They didn't have Pooh Paul at linebacker. They didn't have Cam Ball, who might be their best defensive tackle. And they still performed very admirably against Alabama on the road. I mean, it just shows you, again, what that transfer portal can do to a team, especially when you're talking about defense, I think, where maybe offense takes a little more time to get accustomed to stuff, but this defense has been playing lights out. Credit to Travis Williams and, the whole defensive staff. Great job. Great job to this point. They need that to continue. I wonder about the mindset that this team might have against Mississippi State. Mississippi State, of course, when you look at Arkansas' schedule, they've been on the road 4 straight weeks, against 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1 teams consecutively. And you got Mississippi State, and of course they get a bye week before they come to Arkansas. Get some things sorted out, get some injury situation, move some things around that they probably need to do because they are 3-3, 0-3 in the SEC right now. They play Western Michigan, and then they get a bye week, and then they get Arkansas. I mean, that's how you want your bye week to set up, basically, for a road trip. So, the SEC has done Arkansas just wrong with this. I mean, there's not a single team in the country that's had to deal with the type of schedule. And we knew going in it was going to be tough. Nobody has had to deal with that type of schedule in the entire country. And if you ever have had to, if you're a fan, I would love to hear your comments below. If you've had to deal through something like that, what Arkansas just went through, going at LSU, neutral site game in Dallas against Texas A&M, against Ole Miss, at Ole Miss, and then at Alabama. If you've had to deal with something like that, then I would love to hear about it, because I just think it's absolutely insane that the SEC put that on any team. And I think it's negligent in a lot of ways to treat an entire fan base like that. Arkansas has not played a home game. When they kick off against Mississippi State, it'll have been 35 days since their last home game. 35 days. And they get a bye week next week, and then they travel to Florida, and then I believe they get Auburn. I think that's November 11th. So when you get to that November 11th date, you're talking about the day before that kickoff, you're talking about 55 days in the middle of the football season where they had one home game. It's just insane. And, when you consider this, and you consider like what they did to Arkansas, Arkansas, here they are on a 19-game SEC losing streak. They got a brand new head coach in Sam Pittman in 2020, and the COVID restrictions come in. Like, what do you think they were thinking when they were like, let's give them number 4 Georgia, and let's send them to number 8 Florida, the 2 toughest teams in the SEC Eastern Division at the time. What do you think they were thinking? Like, man, Arkansas is going to hate this, or do you think they were like, screw them? Let them do something. What are they going to do? Like, what do you think the schedule makers were thinking? Because they looked at it and was like, man, this is wrong. We're going to do that. How many have they lost in a row? 19? They've lost 19 SEC games in a row. Should we give them a Vanderbilt maybe? Maybe get them Kentucky at home or something? I don't know. What about South Carolina? Let's give them Florida. Let's send them to Florida. Let's send them to Florida, and let's give them Georgia. Thoughts? What is the conversation like when that happened? And, you combine that with the the schedule they gave them this year, and it's just, it blows your mind, And they fixed it. Maybe they made up for a lot of things. But, when they go to Florida this year, that's going to be, and due to like COVID and due to 2012, the rescheduling, expansion of the SEC, this will be the 4th trip to Gainesville out of the last 5 meetings. 2 conference teams, 4 trips to Gainesville out of the last 5 meetings. How is that? Is somebody else dealing with that? I think Mississippi State might have got screwed over with trips to Georgia or something, like in a similar fashion. But Mississippi State and Arkansas. They're not doing that kind of crap to Alabama, to Georgia, to Florida. So, anyway, I know I'm ranting here. And sorry, Andrew, I'm going a little bit long. We're going to get to Andrew Ellis here next. And Danny, you're after that, so I'm pushing all of you back just a little bit because I just want to get to a couple things here. And, I mean, look at Missouri, for example. All right, all credit in the world to Missouri and Eli Drinkwitz. I've said some harsh things about Eli Drinkwitz in the past. You can't deny that they're 6-1 right now, and he's doing a good job, obviously. You can't deny 6-1. And if you gave Arkansas Missouri schedule, I'm not saying Arkansas would be 6-1. I'm not taking a dig at Missouri, okay? So don't take it that way, please. But I know I've taken digs in the past, and, Eli Drinkwitz has proven everybody wrong. Despite the way he looks and behaves and acts, he's doing a pretty bang-up job at Missouri. So where might Arkansas or any SEC team be right now with a lineup that includes South Dakota, Middle Tennessee, Kansas State, Memphis, Vanderbilt, LSU, and Kentucky? That's the slate that they've gone through so far. And the one loss is LSU at home. One loss is LSU. I mean, you consider Arkansas has Western Carolina, Kent State, BYU, LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Alabama. And by the way, LSU, A&M, Ole Miss, and Alabama were all on the road. So Missouri gets South Carolina Saturday also, which is like, what are they, 2-5 or something? 2-4, I think. South Carolina's 2-4. So they get a 2-4 South Carolina. Guess where they're playing? In Columbia. It's the 6th time out of 8 games that they're playing in Columbia, Missouri. The 6th time out of 8 games that they're playing in Columbia, Missouri. Now, they get a chance to poke their chest out. In the back half of the schedule, they're going to Georgia, they're hosting Tennessee, they're hosting Florida, and then they're wrapping things up in Fayetteville. They get through that, and we're still talking about them top 25 and all this, that, and the other. It's another Sam Pittmanism. Then, okay. But again, I'm not saying Arkansas would be 6-1 playing what Missouri's schedule right now. I'm just saying it would be nicer. I don't think Arkansas has had a schedule play out, open up like that in 33 years. And speaking of Georgia, by the way, UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, Auburn, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. That's their schedule so far. The defending 2-time national champions. UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, Auburn, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. Sam Pittman believes this is a must-win game, just like I do. It's a must-win game. Have to win. I asked him about it. What's the psychology of this team? You going through all this, road warriors, us against the world mentality, and then, this team has lost 3. They're 3-3. They're not 5-1, or 4-1, 3-1, or 2-1. It's Mississippi State. We could beat them. We're returning home. We're gonna have people cheering for us. Psychologically, don't let that mess you up. Don't let that mess you up. And I asked him about it. And he says, we got to win. And you do. You have to win. You have to win this game for so many reasons. You can't return home after all this time off and lay an egg against Mississippi State. You just can't. You can't. It can't happen. 2-6 cannot happen to this team. 0-5 cannot happen to this team. And Sam Pittman knows it. And his players better know it. I think they do. Football's a funny game. Where are we going? We got to go to Andrew Ellis. Let's go to Andrew. All right, everybody. For those of you who don't follow Andrew Ellis, then what are you doing? You're missing out. Andrew Ellis does a fantastic job for us. Andrew Ellis 24/7 on Twitter. He covers just about everything you can imagine: football, basketball, baseball. Oops, that's not who we're calling, are we? We're calling Andrew Ellis. Where you at, Andrew? Bear with me. Having an issue. There we go. Again, follow him at Andrew Ellis 24/7. Does a great job for us. Andrew, how you doing, brother?
Trey, I'm doing tremendous. How are you?
Tremendous. I'm sorry I'm 7 minutes late on you.
No, you're good. You're good. So let's talk some ball.
Yeah, let's talk some ball. I mean, you're into moral victories, right?
Well, look, Trey, everyone seems to be upset about that term, and I understand because, like, moral victory is not what you want. That's not what Sam Pittman was not in the locker room pregame being like, guys, let's go out there and let's not win this game, but let's have a moral victory. It's not like that. Nobody wants that, but was this game not like the most textbook moral victory of all time? Like, you didn't win the game, but you had some moments of encouragement. You fought hard. You didn't quit. You didn't roll over. It's a moral victory. I mean, and look, I know that sounds condescending, but I mean, also we're talking about a 2-5 football team here, so yeah, it's a little condescending. But until there's an actual victory, that's just what it is. And look, we can do the whole schedule thing, and it's a brutal 4-game stretch. And I agree with you. That should not happen to any team in college football. That 4 games away from home and playing against 3 top 20 teams, and it's a tough thing, and it's a valid reason, and it's not an excuse. It's a valid thing, but all of that goes out the window if you lose this weekend. So I think that and you talked about it being a must-win. There couldn't be more of a must-win. I mean, you absolutely have to win this one, and if you do, it becomes a lot more easy and a lot more fun to start doing all the. Well, the schedule was bad, and first-year coordinator on defense. Like, it took us a little minute. We had some sparks, like, to do all the moral victory talk, which is what we're doing. That's what we're doing on weeks like this. That's what we've been doing for 5 weeks of, well, they're not winning games, but I just think at some point you got to start winning the games. And I understand that this was a tough stretch, but I think you got to forget about all that. And like you said, you can't let that mentally get in your head. You just have to focus. Everything has to go into this week. They just got to show up. They got to put their best foot forward. And, if they beat this Mississippi State team, all of a sudden you're going into the bye week. You're like, all right, they stopped the bleeding, going into the bye week. Things are nice. You still got, I guess it'll be 3 home games left at that point. Like, you'll start to feel pretty good. And I think that's just kind of where we're at with this football team. We can talk more about Saturday's game if you want to. There was plenty to get into from it, plenty of pros and cons and everything in between. But I just think it's very simple at this point. It's like this game is everything. Mm-hmm. They have to win this weekend, and I think that's kind of the theme of the week. That's all there is to figure out. We can sit here and talk about whatever we want to talk about, but it's just like the proof. It's going to come out. Like, this weekend is going to be the week. Like, if they lose this one, there is no spinning it. There is no, Mississippi State was off a bye or what. We're done. Can we agree that we're not playing that game if they lose this one? Yeah. Can we agree on that at least? I think we're at the same spot.
Yeah.
And I may sound like I'm frustrated and I'm like trying to downgrade the team. I'm not. I just think that we've done all these talking points, and I feel like we're going in circles every week of like, oh, they looked bad here, but they look good here, and oh, well, they looked good in this department, but this, last week they looked, it's like we're just going in circles. I just think it's time for this football team to win a game.
Yeah.
And I think they have a very good chance to do it. I don't think Mississippi State is as bad as they've looked at times this year. I think you'll probably see a better version of them coming off a bye week, but I mean, you got to win this when you're favored by a touchdown at home. And what's funny is I can actually believe a lot of the things that Sam Pittman has been saying, because I'm seeing it with this team. I'm seeing this team is not quit. This team's not done or anything like that. I'm just really looking forward to seeing what they look like this weekend from a mentality standpoint and just kind of the overall product that we get to see out on the field for the first time in 5 weeks at home.
Yeah. I mean, when you go back and look at the history books, people will look at the overall schedule. They're unlikely to look game by game and say, oh, they were close. They're going to look at the overall. I want to run this by you because you like to play the ponies and things of that nature. I've been using a lot of Sam Pittmanisms today. But Josh Pate, he does the JP poll. And the JP poll is based solely on who would win if they were playing. It's not based on records or anything like that. And Arkansas, he has Arkansas at 30th. And he uses, his computer model and all that kind of stuff. But they have Arkansas at 30th in the nation, ahead of Iowa, ahead of Wisconsin, which basically means that right now they would have them picked as the favorite to win the Big Ten West. What are your thoughts on that? That's out of left field. What are your thoughts?
I'll be honest with you. That's not the most stunning news I've ever received, because you think about, you look at the teams Arkansas has lost to this year. I don't know what the rest of the JP poll looks like, but I would assume at least 4 or 5 of those teams are probably in that top 30, right? Arkansas loses to 4 of those teams by 1 possession. So, I can get behind that kind of thing. But to be honest with you, Trey, it almost makes it more frustrating that this team went 0-5 in the stretch that they did. It was like, because we spent all summer looking at that 4-game stretch and talking about it. It's not like it came out of nowhere. we all knew this was happening, and we were all kind of in the preseason. We're like, if you win one of those games, that's good. Win two, that's awesome. Whatever. Not only you go 0-4 in that stretch, but you just don't have the benefit of the doubt with that BYU loss. But like I said, I feel like that almost makes it more frustrating. Because I think everyone's looking at this through the lens of like Arkansas was close against all these good teams. I think I would argue on the other side of like I think they caught all of those teams at a perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bama, that was not the Bama. I'm not saying Bama didn't play great. They were horrible or anything, but I would say that probably was not a peak Alabama performance on Saturday. Wasn't a peak Ole Miss performance that Arkansas had to face whenever they were in Oxford. Probably the worst game LSU's offense has played all year was against Arkansas in that first half, especially in Baton Rouge. And BYU, you caught them week 3 at home at 6:30 with a full crowd. Like, I don't know if there is a better time to catch BYU. And so it's like, I think that poll almost backs up what my eyes are telling me, which is that Arkansas is not substantially worse than all of these teams, but they're losing to all of them, And so it's like almost more frustrating hearing stuff like that and knowing how, quote unquote, close this team is. And so, I think that, like I've said, we've talked about it a little bit. Like this team clearly is not like out of it, like they're not. It's not a team that's letting go of the rope or anything like that. And so I think that's probably where some of that projection comes in. And they've fought in the second half, especially these last few weeks, and show that they want to win. But I think it's just it's going to be fascinating to see if they can kind of rally together and make something happen on the stretch. Because you look at these games, they could be favored in 4 of these games down the stretch. It's very possible. They're favored this weekend, probably going to be favored at home against Auburn. We'll see kind of how that plays out. Florida, they'll probably be an underdog. Missouri's going to be an interesting one by the time that game rolls around, and they just talked about them a little bit. I buy into all of these narratives that we're talking about of like tough schedule, tough road situation. They're closer than they appear, all of that stuff. But now it's time to go prove that. It's time to go prove it right. And I think this is an interesting time for Arkansas, but I think it could be an exciting one. I think that it really just all comes down to this game. Yeah. I know that sounds dramatic and cliche, but it's like you win this game, you can start talking me into a lot of stuff.
Right.
But you lose this one, and you kind of lose all of that, and then you go into the bye week with negative momentum, and it just can probably spiral from there. But so I'm that's not stunning to me that Arkansas is still getting some love in some of those metrics and stuff like that because of how close they've played some of these teams. But it's just about getting over that hump, and we'll see if they can do it against a little bit more favorable matchup this weekend.
Andrew Ellis joining us. Again, you can follow him at Andrew Ellis 24/7 on Twitter. He's the HawgSports do-it-all man. Basketball, football, baseball, does a little bit of everything. Andrew, before we get you out here, 6 and a hook right now on the Bet Saracen app. What do you think?
I like it. I think that's about what that's around where my head thought the number might be. I thought Arkansas would be under a touchdown, but kind of in that range. Arkansas, they've covered the last couple of weeks, so my brain is trying to figure out like what their percentages are of covering. But I don't know. I think it's a number Arkansas can handle. In Mississippi State's kind of a wild card here because we don't really know what we're going to expect from them. One, you've got a first-year head coach, so we haven't seen a ton of a sample of what this program is going to look like moving forward. And then they've also had basically 2 weeks to prepare for this game. So It'll be interesting to see. I think that maybe is keeping this line a little bit closer. But I think Arkansas is a better team. They're at home. It might not be a ruckus crowd, a sellout like Sam Pittman is expecting. I don't know who's telling them that. But I think it should be a decent environment for Arkansas to perform in. So I like Arkansas. I think the number is pretty accurate in terms of just like what it should be. And, we'll see if Arkansas can do it. But I could see Arkansas winning this game by double digits for sure. I
think it'll be a pretty good crowd. Just from the fact that they've been gone so long and people make plans way ahead of time, that like, well, okay, there's 35 days in between home games. Well, we got a plan for the Mississippi State game, and people do that way out and book hotel rooms and things like that. So I think it'll be it is an 11 o'clock game, so probably a little bit late arriving, but I think we'll be talking, I think there'll be 70 there. Don't you?
Yeah. I have nothing to base this off of. I have zero actual evidence to present to you. I'm just going off of a complete feel of I feel like on a 5-game losing streak, it'll be less of a crowd than it was against BYU. But it was the crowds early in the year were really good.
Well, BYU was the 8th largest ever, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very solid. And that was a night game, a little bit different situation. Yeah. Weather was a little bit more ideal, but that's going to be interesting. I love that term, late arriving crowd. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what the crowd looks like. But I think that's going to be a huge factor in this because I think players can feel that if the atmosphere is dead, that has to have a little bit of an effect on you. So I'll definitely have my eye on what the feel is. If it feels more like a funeral on Saturday, or if it's more like a crowd ready to get behind their team. And I think the first couple possessions are going to be huge, because if you go ahead and you come out here and 3 and out, and all of a sudden that crowd starts groaning and gets a little weird, that pressure starts to mount. But if Arkansas is able to get things going early, I think that crowd, whatever it ends up being, if it's 65, 70, whatever it is, I think you'll be able to get a pretty good version out of them. So should be interesting to see.
All right, appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trey.
All right, everybody. That's Andrew Ellis. Again, follow him at Andrew Ellis 24/7. He's the HawgSports. Well, he's not the recruiting analyst. We're going to the recruiting analyst, but Andrew Ellis is the HawgSports do-it-all man. Covers just about everything you can think of. We're going to Danny West now. Danny is the recruiting man. Danny, how you doing?
Doing very well, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just had a nice conversation with your boy Andrew Ellis about everything going on.
Sure.
Yeah, and where do you want to go, Danny? I mean, we can go a lot of different angles with it. We can give your thoughts.
I'll tell you where I want to go. I want to go inside Razorback Stadium and see some Croots this weekend, and that's where I'm at. It's going to be good to be back home and see all you handsome faces in the press box too. But we can start with that, man. I just added a notable visitor, in-state visitor for the class of 2025, Carius Kern. We've got him listed as an offensive tackle, Trey. I think Arkansas likes him at DT on the defensive side. We've got him at 6'4", 301. Just had a loyal HawgSports subscriber mention on the message board there that he's heard that he's up to 6'5", 310. So semantics there, but big old boy either way, and he's got 5 SEC offers: Arkansas, Georgia, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, as well as I think he's got SMU, Memphis, a couple others in there. But he's a big-time target for next year's class. Only a 3-star, but I think he's got a chance to keep going up over the next year or so.
High 3-star. I mean, he's number 2 ranked player in Arkansas, and 6'4", 301 for class of 2025 is plenty big.
Yeah, plenty big. So that's a big one. Now, I mean, he's going to Georgia and a few others, I think. Maybe Tennessee, I think he's visited. So good to get him on campus. This is a guy who visited in June, came up for a camp, and really blew the staff away. And every camp he went to, it was the same deal. That's how he stacked up, these offers so quickly. Really athletic big man. So we can start with Carius there. And then, of course, I've got a few recruiting notes that I kicked off the week with this morning. A lot of commitments, as you might expect, Trey. They're always on hand, right? So C.J. Brown told me he's going to be back. Kobe Branham. I'm sorry if I forget anybody. Grayson Wilson for the 25 class, your quarterback. Really having a good year. I know we mentioned some of their stats last week. CAC lost to Thriller 53-50, I want to say, at Clinton this past week. But I think Grayson threw for two more touchdowns, ran for 3 more. So he's putting up a really, really solid junior year. And Tay Lockett told me he's planning on coming to the Auburn or the Missouri game, kind of waiting on a better kickoff time than 11 a.m., which is understandable when you live in California. That's a long trip to make for any kickoff. But, just a few of my notes this morning there on the site. So I think throughout the week, I'm not expecting just a, blockbuster type list, Trey, but I think it's going to end up being a pretty good one. Weather seems like it's going to cooperate so far from what I'm seeing. So, man, I love a late October game in Fayetteville. It's just really tough to beat. That's where I'm at. I'm ready to get back, ready to get it.
They always play like ass on my birthday weekend, Danny.
Is this your birthday weekend?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe I ain't going after all. I know where this thing's headed.
I'll tell you what, we always talk like, things that happen, like Ole Miss weekend, my wife ran over something and her tire got slashed, and it's Friday night, our first night together. And
I still blame her.
Yeah.
It's all her fault, dude.
Well, first night together without, kid and everything, and that's our date night, me changing a tire and putting a spare on and then going over to eat dinner, and then they telling us at like 7:45 that the kitchen's just closed at 7:45 on a Friday night, and we had to go somewhere, and we're just like, all right, this is not going to end up good. Like I always base stuff.
Bad vibes.
I base stuff on like, do I get a good parking spot? Did I hit a bunch of red lights, or am I going through green lights when I'm going to practice? Like all of these
what year
things.
Was it you had a wreck at Auburn?
No, that was at Georgia. Some kid ran into me in a rental car, which was, and I mean, I ended up barely making it into the stadium in time. I'd left to get there early so I could walk around campus and stuff, and some kid just ran into me. Anyway, yeah, and then they just got smoked, of course.
37-0, I believe.
Yeah. And then, so this past weekend, Danny, I didn't tell you this, but wife gets up in the middle of the night, and she's trying to find her way back to the bed and stubs her toe on, but not just stubs it, Danny, breaks it.
She broke it?
4:00 in the morning. Yep. Broke her toe. Yep. Hey, so I was just like, okay, this isn't going good in Alabama.
Yikes.
In addition to all the stuff that
I think you're withholding, and people need that type of information for betting purposes.
Just tell them what's going on in my life.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta know the vibe, dude.
I know.
You can't keep
that
from us.
You're right.
Tell her to just stay her butt at the house. Yeah. Evidently, don't even get out of bed.
Don't even get out of bed.
So that's on you. Breakfast in bed, lunch and dinner, I guess.
That's right. Well, I mean, I don't think I got anything to complain about with the LSU game, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Hey, I'm starting to feel better about them, though, Trey. I know we don't have a whole lot of recruiting to talk about, but I like this matchup for Arkansas. I didn't get a chance to listen to Andrew. I'm sure he felt the same way. And,
right.
I'm not speaking for y'all, but I think we all kind of tend to agree. Man, it's time. And the past is the past. Let it go. Time to get some wins, man. And I'm really studying Mississippi State today. I'm liking this matchup for Arkansas. I thought it was curious. I had a little stat pack this morning I put out. I'm not sure if you read it or not, but they've played 31 times, Mississippi State and Arkansas, since Arkansas joined the conference in '92. Only 7 of those have been in Fayetteville. So I looked up the average margin of, a victory or loss, whatever it might be. Arkansas leads the series in Fayetteville 4-3 with an average of 31.2 to 27.8. So basically 31-28. And that happened to be the final score of the last time they played in Fayetteville.
Yeah.
So
that was a great game.
I got dibs on that. Prediction this week. I'm going in first to the prediction. I called it. I'm going 31-28 Arkansas. But I actually, honestly, all jokes aside, I think this is one that Arkansas could let go of a little bit of frustration. It wouldn't surprise me if they pull away with it. I know that's a mouthful coming out of a 5-game losing streak, a lot of heartbreak, but that's where I'm seeing it so far this week. I really like Arkansas in this one.
It's always a point of contention when we're doing our prediction story, because we all go in there individually and like, hey, I'm going in the prediction story, and you go in there and somebody's got your score.
Pick every week.
He does.
Yeah, he's a thief, is what he is.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
he's a prediction thief. No, we all make pretty close predictions, but it does get pretty tic-tac trying to separate them.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it stinks that they're 2-5 right now. I mean, nobody likes losing. Even when I do, like, by the way, I got to say this because I was doing I don't even know what I say sometimes on the walk and talk, and all the comments were like, Trey, please don't stop doing that. I'm not stopping the walk and talk. I'm not stopping. Like, but apparently I said, like, I don't even know why if I should keep doing these or something, but I'm still going to keep doing the walk and talk, but I don't even know where I was going before that, but I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that, because I was like, why are all these people saying like, why is Trey not doing the walk and talk anymore? So.
You know what kills me is like 30 minutes after every game, I'll get on the board and they're like, "Where's the walk and talk?" 30 minutes.
Right after.
Give them a minute, man.
And no matter how many times I say, like, we got a lot to do before it's time to leave. There's a lot. There's press conferences. There's waiting on press conferences. There's stories everybody's got to write. We got to get the information out. All that kind of stuff. But, I mean, I see stuff like, fans are frustrated, and I get it. And, people are pointed at me like, here comes Trey Biddy again for the walk and talk for, bootlicking Sam Pittman and all this kind of stuff. And, people are just so frustrated. Nobody likes losing, I do get a laugh, though, when I click on some of the profiles and stuff of these people that are talking all tough, and it's like, you little pencil neck, no shoulder dork. Like, you would never say that to and nobody ever has. Like, some of the stuff that they say, like, literally nobody has ever said any of that stuff. But we get a lot of pencil necks on there that try to act tough.
My grandpa used to say, "Just pray for him, son. Just pray for him."
I gave one guy a lecture. I was like, look, man, you're young. Like, this is not the way here. This is not how you talk to people, you know? Like, you got to do better than that. You just come off as a coward.
Did you dad him up a little bit?
I dad him up every once in a while, especially the young guys, you know, that are just like, you know,
reckless.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you used to, like, I said about the guy, like, that called me the P word after the LSU game.
Now, which word is that?
Exactly. You know.
I got you.
Rhymes with, no. But, you know, I'm just like, I look at this guy's profile, and I'm just like, oh my, this guy's so scrawny. Not that there's anything wrong with being scrawny, or everybody's got their own sizes and talent. I'm not meaning that or anything, and age groups and whatnot, but just like, I'm just thinking, like, when I was, you know, your age, like, if you said that to somebody, and we didn't have like the social media stuff, but if you said that to somebody, you were going to get punched in the face. Like, and you had to be ready.
No-go.
And it's comical to me, like, how people think they can just, like, I'm going to get in here and, like, call Trey Biddy the P word and just get away with it completely. I looked up the guy's dad, and I messaged his dad and stuff. And
His dad?
Yeah. I was like, is this your son? Like, you want to know what's going on here?
Yeah, I've been there, man. I'm just it's tough for me sometimes to keep it in, but
yeah,
I found the best thing I can do is just give myself a couple hours after the game and just you know, if I've got a deer stand nearby, I need to go sit in it. I mean, the older I get, my blood pressure, it just it ain't what it used to be. So,
you know, I'll say this too, Danny. Like, for me, like, and I know we're going off on a tangent, just conversation, but like, you know, there's a lot of people out there in media and stuff who talk, you know, big and like are very negative and pointed and angry and all that stuff. But what's different, I think, for me is, like, I go and sit in the front row of the press conference, and I'm as honest as I can be about how I feel about stuff. And I don't know that there's really anybody else who does that, who calls it like they see it and goes and sits in the front row of the press conference and talks to Sam Pittman, you know, right after saying what I think about the game plan that he had or how he's performing as a head coach.
Yeah, it's a different deal, man. A lot of people don't realize
the angry people that you hear on radio and all that kind of stuff, or on TV, the hot take guys. They're not at any press conference. They're not looking at anybody. They're not looking at anybody in the eye. They're just not.
Nah, even when they show up,
silence.
Looking at anybody in the
silence.
Eye. Silence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, brother. What
anyway,
else you got
I don't know
for
how
us?
we got off on that, but that's the recruiting report this week.
I mean, it's just like a regular conversation of us, you know, just talking. That's basically what just happened.
Well, without a few expletives, I guess. But
sure.
That's
on your end, not on mine.
The curtain.
On your end.
You almost said the P word, dude.
I just said the P word. You can't say the P word.
I don't know. We're gonna have to check it 24/7, dude. That's you. I think you're good.
All right, brother.
Hey, looking forward to seeing you, man.
Yeah, me too.
I feel good about it, and for people who still want to keep up with recruiting, I'm checking with as many as I can throughout the day, and will throughout the rest of the week. But we've got some names already up, and I would expect to be adding. You know, again, not a stellar list, but I think it's going to be a decent one.
Yeah. All right, brother. Appreciate you, Danny.
All right, man.
All right, everybody. That's Danny West. Again, you can follow him at Danny West 24/7. These are like how conversations with me and Danny go a lot of the times. Maybe a few more expletives, but that's not atypical. We don't see each other a whole lot either. Like, Danny's, you know, one of my best friends, and I know he works for me and everything, but he's like, we're boys, but we don't see each other a whole lot. And a lot of times at the press box is, you know, the only time we'll see each other for a stretch. We talk, but, you know, a lot of times that'll be like a long stretch. And this particular one, you know, you got from BYU, which will be 35 days between games. So, all right, where are we going now? We are going to go with the fastest, best, most reliable internet service that you can possibly get at our friends at Ozarks Go. 479-684-4900, Northwest Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri. Local people. You call this number, you're going to talk to somebody who probably knows, what's going on with the state of the Razorbacks. And, you're not going to get somebody in a call center or something because it's a local company. You're also not going to sacrifice anything with having a local company. As I mentioned, I get 2,500 megabits per second. That's the multi-gig service. They also offer Gigabit, which is 1,000 megabits per second, and they offer several other different tiers, I believe, of internet service. I've used the Gigabit before, and I've used the multi-gig, which is what I have now. I've just got that recently because they wanted me to try it out, and let me tell you, it is incredibly fast, and the bandwidth, like, we use a lot of different devices. We're not lagging at all over here. And the Gigabit service was fantastic, I thought, as well, and I think it'll be great for most people also. But great service over at Ozarks Go. Two nice gentlemen. That's what I experienced. Two nice guys came over and hooked everything up the first time, did the same thing the second time. It was real quick, in and out, and I haven't had a problem with them since. 479-684-4900 for ozarksgo.net/HAWG. Go check them out. If you need better internet, they're there for you. Hopefully they're in your area. If they're not, always check in because they're continuing to expand. Their map is getting larger and larger. Where are we going? Carius Kern, that sounds like a lineman. Questions? What y'all got? Let me get to, actually, if I go to this page over here, you might have to bear with me. How much time we got? We got a little bit of time. All right, I'm going to go to Facebook. So Facebook has done the thing now where they only show you a small portion of the comments, so you can't look at all of them. So I'm going to go there from the front page. Click on the video, and that should, yes, give me all the comments. All right. Adam Green says they only looked good against Bama because they got 2 penalties. I think you make a good point there. The play calling didn't just drastically get worlds better. Those last 2 scoring drives that Arkansas had, they got a big penalty, which is a face mask, which I don't know what that guy was thinking on a 3rd down, and they got a pass interference penalty also, which is part of the game, but it's lucky for Arkansas. Those were called, first of all, and they happened on 3rd down. By the way, I didn't mention this, but that shot that dude took over the middle on Isaac Teslaw, that is a defenseless player, and it's a penalty. It's a 15-yard penalty. I don't know what in the hell these announcers think is the rule, but they don't know what the rule is, and apparently the officials don't either. But when a player is trying to make a catch and they haven't had time to establish themselves, they haven't become a runner, and you knock the tar out of them like that, that's a penalty. He's going to live. He's going to be okay, but it is a penalty. Ridiculous that the guys calling the game don't know that that's a penalty. They're like, that's a good, clean hit. No, it's not. It's a penalty. He's lucky he wasn't seriously injured. Gene Horton says, but you make a good point there, Adam. And also on that next drive, you had, KJ scrambling for 23 yards, making that incredible play and ditching that tackler, and then finding Varkey's Gums for that play. I mean, that was KJ I keep saying KJ being KJ, but I don't know how else to put it. It's KJ being Superman. I wonder how many people realize that Browse was never the issue. Yeah, I mean, that's something I talked about a lot when we saw changeover, and people were clamoring for Browse and happy that he's leaving and stuff. And I'm like, man, 471 yards a game. I know they had problems in short yardage, but 471 yards a game, and the defense was a disaster last year. Not so sure that we should just be like, yeah, time for Browse to move on. No, Justin, I don't think it's entirely fake news. I mean, I wouldn't say that that's the only reason. Well, I would correct that on Adam's comment. I wouldn't say that's the only reason they looked good against Bama. But I will say, from an offensive standpoint, yes, that really aided them at the end. But the fact that, you can't just say, they held Alabama to 24 points. That's pretty damn good. 250 yards of offense isn't enough. As I mentioned in the walk and talk, Middle Tennessee State is the only team that put up fewer yards than Arkansas did out of all of Alabama's other 6 opponents. Let's see. We got a little spammer. This person, Hannah Campbell, is like getting on everybody's comments like, hey, let's chat. Wow. James Kirk says the offense was terrible most of the game against Bama except for when they got desperate and started playing with some urgency, even ran some hurry up. They ran some hurry up a good bit through the game. They did not attack the middle of the field. They did not throw the ball deep, and I think part of that is because every time KJ Jefferson steps back and he's got to wait for the play to develop, he gets sacked. Taryn Henry says Rocket has quit. KJ next. I don't know that KJ Jefferson's quitting. Rocket, just by the language of how I've heard things, it sounds like maybe he's not going to come back. I think he might have tweaked his knee a little bit on Tuesday. Norman Hunt says all Arkansas needed was a stop and another possession, and more importantly, didn't lay down after giving up 24 unanswered points. But yeah, a win in homecoming week would be great. Let's see. Let's see. Where are we going? A lot of comments back and forth. Hey, Trey, newcomer of the year for men's basketball. Who you got? That's a tough one. Battle. If he gets healthy. I like Battle. Taryn Henry says, he's in the comments again. Could have sworn Arkansas lost home. Right, he's just making more excuses. That's an interesting comment. Okay. There's this crowd out there, and Taryn Henry's one of them, who are like, all I hear is excuses, excuses, excuses. Like I do with walk and talk, right? And there's a guy in the comments like, I did a bunch of excuses. Like, if I were up there going like, I'm sorry, this walk and talk sucks. I didn't have a good path, and I didn't, the lighting's bad, and all this stuff. That would be excuses. But like, I don't have any control over what Sam Pittman does. I don't have any control over the team. I don't have any control over what Dan Enos' play, his play calls. Like, the other option is for me just to walk and not say what happened in the game. Me explaining what happened in a game is not excuses. It's just not. It's just like me talking about what happened. Like, I can say, this is why they lost, this is why they lost, this is why they lost. And somebody will go, excuses! Excuses, excuses. Taryn Henry is one of these people. Excuses, excuses, excuses. That's all you hear. It's not somebody talking about themselves. They're talking about something else. It's not the same thing, and it's just insane to me that people think that way. It makes no sense at all. Like, you can't talk about something without somebody like this guy going, I just hear excuses. Just a bunch of excuses. I mean, that's just such a clown take. It really is. I mean, you got to do better than that. You do. Just more excuses. You sound like some old man yelling at a cloud. Trey, do you think KJ will come back? The reason I don't think he will come back, I think a lot of people, this is from Keegan Ryan Gomer, a lot of people have it in their head when they enter a season, like, this is my year, I'm going pro. And I point to like Jaden Hazelwood, who probably should have come back. I think Hazelwood's on a practice squad, but he probably would have made more money than he is in Philly right now on a practice squad at Arkansas. And, might have got drafted with another good year. Norman Hunt says, I must have missed the walk and talk. You must have, Norman. Let's see. Trey, would you say, Garrett Barnes says, Trey, would you say we have been outmatched in all SEC games we played so far? If we went out, most experts might. I hate you, Facebook. Why are you jumping like this? Why do you tweak stuff all the time? Like, it's working fine. Like, I'm not against change, but like, change for the better. Trey, would you say we've been outmatched in all SEC games we played so far? If we went out, most experts might say it's meeting expectations. Yeah, I mean, probably what like a lot of national people would say. I don't think that they've been outmatched in every SEC games. The one I would say that they really got outmatched in was against Texas A&M. I thought the matchup with Texas A&M's defensive front versus Arkansas's offensive line and tight ends was a huge mismatch. Enough mismatch to basically give Arkansas a very razor-thin margin of, error to potentially win that game. I don't think Alabama's that good. I mean, I think they're obviously got a lot of talent. I don't think that, especially on offense, I don't think that Milroe's the answer at quarterback. I think what you'll see Alabama do in the offseason is go find a quarterback. Go find a stud quarterback somewhere. I guarantee you almost that they will go find another quarterback in the offseason. James Hill says, I bet Rocket doesn't come back this season. I mean, I'm not going to speak for Rocket, but it kind of feels like get yourself back healthy, get ready for Combine. I don't know that that's what's happening, but that's kind of looking between the lines. I don't mean to say don't take that to the bank because that's just me just kind of speculating. All I hear is excuses. Does that do it, James? James Hill wanted me to do it again. Excuses! Man, people just... Brian Durkin says, I hear Sam make the comment quite often. Just want to it close till the fourth quarters. I don't think, when has he said that? I hear Sam make this comment quite often, just want to it close till fourth quarter. To me, that's saying don't think we can win. No, that's not what he's saying. Like when you're going on the road in the SEC, you want to make sure that you have a chance to win in the fourth quarter. Like that's a goal a lot of times. And like if it plays out differently, great, but you want to make sure that you have a shot in the fourth quarter. Now, it hasn't worked out very well for Sam Pittman, but that is I've always said that too. I say that all the time. Like when you're talking about basketball, for example, like if you can give yourself a chance at the end of the game and have a chance to win the game at the end of the game, half the time you're going to win the road games. And if you can do that, then maybe you're talking like 12-6 because you're going to split those generally. The problem for Arkansas is they haven't been splitting them. They've been losing them. So I don't think that's an awful way to go into, a game. And then like you get to the fourth quarter and then if you're the better team, that's where and Alabama does that a lot too. I think Alabama, plays with, over the years when Alabama was, maybe a little bit stronger, but I think Alabama will like play, and manage a game. And then when it's fourth quarter, what about midway through third quarter, then they really, step on it. Yeah. I think you're misreading that, Brian. When will Pittman actually have his recruits on the depth chart? I know there's overlap for about 2 to 4 years. Have his recruits on the depth chart? Let me think. So on the offensive line, there's 3 of his recruits. At running back, DeBinion and A.J. Green are his. At wide receiver, all the starting wide receivers and the backups are all his. Defensive line is... not Gregory, and not Carter, but everyone else is his of the main players on the defensive line. Zach Williams isn't his, Jashad Stewart his? Jashad Stewart's his. So almost everybody on the defensive line, all the linebackers, the entire secondary except for Hudson Clark. Yeah, so most everybody. Isaac Riley says, do you get Paramount Plus automatically when you join HawgSports Live? Well, it's not HawgSports Live. That's just the show. The site is HawgSports, HawgSports.com, HAWGsports.com. And no, you don't get it automatically. It's a loyalty perk. So if you were to sign up for $1, you sign up for $1 for the first month. And then if you like it, you want to stick with us. And it's like, I think $9.95 or something like that every month after that. But you also get not just Paramount Plus when that happens, when you go on the regular rate. Not only do you get Paramount Plus for free, Showtime is also free. You're getting Showtime, Paramount Plus, HawgSports, and access to everything in the 24/7 Sports Network. Other teams' VIP message boards even. So you get everything that 24/7 Sports offers with your home base being HawgSports, Paramount Plus, and Showtime. So it's $1 for a month. You try it out. You like it. I want to keep it. And then you get Paramount Plus, Showtime, and HawgSports and all that stuff. So that's how that works. You can sign up for 30% off also. If you sign up for the 30% off the annual, then it actually doesn't kick in until later. I think you could probably email our support team and say, hey, I just want to play full price right now and get Paramount Plus and Showtime, sign up for the year. You could probably do it like that. Kingsley says, how do you activate Paramount Plus? Is it the same login? It's not. So you go to HawgSports. I'm looking at it right now, and you would click on settings on the top right. You re-authenticate, so you log back in, and then when Paramount Plus is available to you under subscriptions, it says, I'm looking at complimentary Paramount Plus Essentials. So you click on that, and it's going to walk you through the whole sign-up process from there. And again, totally free. Paramount Plus is $100 a year. Showtime's, I think, $100 a year. HawgSports is about $100 a year. So basically, you're paying one price for 3 subscriptions. Pretty solid deal. Fantastic deal, really. I mean, even if you just wanted Paramount Plus, or you just wanted Showtime, or you just wanted HawgSports, just sign up at HawgSports and you get everything. So if you're ever just thinking like, I kind of want Paramount, I want to watch Halo, I want to watch Yellowstone 19, whatever they're coming out with next, then just sign up at HawgSports and get all that, and get Paramount also, and get Showtime. Pretty good deal. All right, I think we've covered everything. We'll have more in depth about Mississippi State. We didn't really get into the Bulldogs today, which is pretty typical for the Monday show. We kind of look back and look at the state of the program, talk recruiting with Danny, those kinds of things. So we've gone an hour. I was planning on going 40 minutes. I'm going to be late for practice, damn it. All right. Went a little late today. I got to get out of here. All right, thanks everybody for joining me. Appreciate you, Andrew. Appreciate you, Danny. Thanks to all of you for hopping on with us. Everybody for hopping on. Even Mr. Excuses. Sorry, Taryn, I didn't mean to call you out, but man, I get tired of that excuses talk. Thanks for joining me, everybody. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, and we'll catch you next time.